Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode here on the MIgardener channel. So, if you have not caught up yet, this is a continuation on the series of how to design a grow room from start to finish. And last episode we went through choosing a room, and we also went through spackling. So now that that's done, now the next step is painting. This is such a crucial part because of the fact that the paint can make or break the room. And I know it seems like something that's pretty pretty easy to guess why it could make or break a room, but we'll go through it. So the paint is actually what's going to be covering the walls, and that is actually where almost 70% of light gets wasted. Because what happens when you have grow lights, whether it be here or along the wall there like we talked about, you have light that's escaping. And so the brighter that you can make the color, the better. You can do something like a Mylar. If you do a Mylar film, it can be very expensive. So we actually are going with just an all-white alternative. So the first thing we're going to do is choose the paint. When you're painting the room, you really want to go with something that is going to be mold and mildew resistant, an outdoor primer. So we have this right here. This is our choice. We're not getting paid to talk about this, but this is from all the research I've done, this is the best brand out there to use for this type of situation. This is a Kills brand, and this will help you to make a really good prime because you don't want any of the wall to come through. If you notice, the walls here are kind of an off gray. You don't want any of that gray coming through because we want to make it as reflective as possible. So we're going with a true white, and then that's where the actual paint comes in. And we're going to be using the Valspar Ultra. The Valspar Ultra in a gloss. They have a flat, it's flat, semi-gloss, and a gloss. You want to make sure that you get the gloss. If you've ever seen a whiteboard, a dry erase board, that's going to be as shiny as this is. So it's really going to reflect a lot of that light back. And when you have a lot of lights around here, it's going to really just be very reflective and very efficient because all that wasted light will actually bounce back on your plants in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not 100%, but a lot more than if it was a different color like a blue or a brown, because the whole thing of color that I'm going to end on is that when you have colors, any pigment at all is actually a pigment of black, because black is a combination of all colors. So if you have blue, there's actually some pigments of black in there. That's what's making it, or well, it's not really black, but it's a darker pigment, and it's more toward the black scale than, say, white. So even if you choose like a sky blue, there's going to be some pigment that's going to absorb that light, rather than a white where it's basically just reflecting everything back. So that's why we chose a true white. You could also go with a Dove white, a Pearl white, but to be truthfully honest, the way it comes right with the Valspar Pro, this is what we're using because of the fact that it already comes in the truest white they make. So that's great. So now what we're going to do is talk about brushes versus rolling. I choose to use both. I know this question will come up. When it comes to rolling versus brushing, use what you have on hand. You can go out and buy a roller. It really helps to save time. We're going to be covering this entire room, so we really do want to save time. Time is money. So we're going to be rolling for the main portions, all the flat stuff. Then when it gets into corners and stuff, we're actually going to just use a brush. And then around stuff like light switches and stuff like that, we're going to be using a brush for the finer touch-up stuff. So it is good to get both, but if you can't afford it, just use what you have on hand, and that'll be fine. Say hi, Cindy.
Hi.
So we're almost done priming. We actually are going through it a lot quicker than we had anticipated. The paint is really going on well. Now the thing that we did find out as we're going that I thought I'd make mention is that the primer, it really does need a second coat. I forgot to mention that. We thought at first that it would it would be fine just throwing it on. But we're finding that as we're going, when it dries, you're seeing kind of some of those streak marks. So I thought I'd make mention to, you know, when you go over it, like I'm doing right now, you know, you're going to be making strokes in different directions and stuff. And this, you'll notice that there's different changes here. Now, when we get the glossy paint on, it shouldn't make a difference, but I'd rather, again, err on the side of caution. We have the paint, you might as well put it on, because of the fact that if you get the gloss on and then you see some kind of differences on underneath and they're kind of irreversible, it would kind of stink, because the Kills paint is about $14 a gallon and the Valspar is about $31 a gallon. So I'd rather you know, put 2 coats on of the, you know, of the Kills and make sure that all the mistakes are covered up before I start painting with the final stuff. So just to keep that in mind, that you know, the primer is cheap, so you can load that on. Now, if you're on a budget, make sure you just use it wisely. And the best thing that I can give advice for when you're painting is to not go really fast. If you're going really fast like this, it's going to splatter. It's going to waste a lot of paint splattering. It's also going to create lines, and it's best if you just go really slow, apply even pressure, and just let the brush do the work. When you notice that the paint is starting to get kind of thin, like over here, see, it's really starting to run low, just dip it again. Don't try to squeeze every last little bit out, because it's going to ruin the rollers. So you have to buy 2 rollers, which again is wasted money. It's going to splatter paint, which is wasted money. And then also, what happens here is it actually will create lines. And those lines is where paint has been oozed out of the edges there, and that creates a ridge. And so then that just kind of wastes paint as well, because then you have to go back over it. And if you have to go back over it then you're painting something that's already been painted, which is again, more wasted paint. So it's really good just to start, pick a spot, and just really stick within that spot. Make sure it's well covered. Make sure there's not a whole lot of black space or stuff coming through, and then move on. You know, just keep to a certain area. Don't go, oh my goodness, we're gonna go way over here and way over here, because then it just, you know, you just end up wasting paint that way. So, all right, so that's my tip for you all when you're painting. Hopefully that helps you out. We're gonna get some priming done, and then we're actually gonna move on to the active painting, which I'm really excited for. If you check around here, we're actually making really great progress. We just got all these walls done. We had to do a little extra touch-up work with some spackle that we kind of missed, so I fixed that up, and then we're waiting for that to just dry. It dries pretty quick, so that's gonna be painted next, and then we're gonna move on to the actual painting. Now again, another tip here, make sure when you're painting, this is a pretty painting for dummies tip, but I thought, hey, you know, there are some people out there that are just painting for the first time. Make sure that you don't paint over your light switches here. We've just kind of gone around the edge, and you can get pretty close with a roller, but you know what? Don't risk it. Just actually take a screwdriver, take off this panel here, and then just paint right around it. You can even use a hand brush, and that's what we were talking about earlier. Is I like to use both the roller and the paintbrush together as a team, because that way you can really get a nice neat line, and you're not going to be painting over that, because it looks really bad. It looks really tacky if you paint over those panels there. So again, another little tip for you. So let's get this done, and I'll catch y'all in a little bit. And we're putting on the paint. It's looking so good. And part of this is really just, I mean, it's really just amazing, because this we thought would take all day. And I guess that's part of the benefit of having down drywall, which I've never actually had the benefit of having drywall before, because everything else in our house was plaster. So This really goes on very well, and it does not absorb all that much paint. But you can tell, hey, what we thought was white, this is true white, and that is why you want to use the Valspar, that Valspar Ultra. The quality, and when it comes to paint, you really don't want to skimp on quality, and that's really, you know, what I want to get through to everyone is that you don't want to chimp on the paint, because if the paint is going to be your reflective property, you just want the best quality paint possible. You don't want something that's going to be gooey or runny, or you know, that's going to bubble or just not be as reflective as they say it is. So this is going to be awesome, and it is still wet, but I'm guessing it's going to be about this reflective as it dries as well. But very pleased with it, very pleased with it. So we're gonna get this finished. We are done priming. Everything is done, and yeah, we should be done before too long. We obviously have 3 more walls to go, but I'll bring you along for this ride. I hope you all are enjoying this, by the way. It's something a lot different, but it's just something that I think is really important, because as northern growers become more and more involved in indoor growing, because we can't grow outdoors, it's something that a lot of questions arise from, and there's really no good sources for this type of information. So I want to be a good information source for everyone from start to finish. So I found the best place to start was with the grow room. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. All right, catch you guys back in a little bit. Well, there you go. The room is finished. I hope you all enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please do not hesitate to post them in the comments box below. And again, we are using the Valspar, and I just really want to credit them for a great quality paint. Come get a close up of this reflection here. You might have to come at an angle this way. But the reflective capabilities of this is just stunning. It is completely dry, and it is almost like a whiteboard. It is unbelievable. Come at it on an angle like this right here, and you can see the reflection. See, there you go. That right there, just right there, that reflection just shows the sheer ability for this thing to reflect a lot of that light right back. And all that is actually coming from just a teeny tiny 35 watt compact fluorescent up in the top there, and that's providing all the light for this room. So we started with a really low compact fluorescent light so that we could see the effect of the wall. And it was really dim when we started, and it's progressively gotten brighter and brighter and brighter because of all just the reflective capabilities. So, and then once we obviously get more stuff in here, more lights, it's only going to get brighter. So very pleased, very happy with the quality of this paint. So there you go. If Valspar is watching, I'd love a sponsorship. No, I think the paint is very good quality for what we paid, and got the job done great. So thank you all for watching. If you have, like I said, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, don't hesitate to ask. Next episode, we're going to talk about lighting. We're going to be hanging up the lights and how we do that, the lights we choose, and our kind of setup that we use. So hopefully you'll enjoy that as well. Stay tuned. I'll catch y'all later. This is Luke from MIgardener, hoping you are growing big or going home, and I'll catch y'all later. See ya. Bye.